What the fish is that? Got her. Just doing half hitches around this to secure it. Just focus on flailing that in perfectly versus pulling the rope. So this is a running bowline here. Put my bowline on that side, tighten it up, put my finishing knot in here so in case it slips, it won't fall to my death. Oh, Jesus. So Jake just brought up a good point here. The 20 minutes we just spent setting up this line, I would have spent climbing up through these limbs, throwing a line over to the next limb, going up, throwing a line over the next limb, advancing up. So it pays off. I've got a line set way up there now, down to this base anchor. And I'll just take this Rope Runner Pro, attach it to this line right here, and I'll go right up the back side. So we're trimming this tree, we're not removing it. So I'm gonna go up on my foot ascender. When you're cutting on just your climb line, cutting around it, be very careful. You hit that once and that's gonna suck. I'm running this Petzl foot ascender, I just put it underneath my spur. I keep it kind of loose and it works just fine to wear both spurs and foot ascender. There's this chest piece here that I could attach to my Rope Runner. Kind of brings up a little bit, but this thing isn't sliding the greatest right now. So I've just been pushing it up, but you could use the chest clip here too. I'm just kind of moving around. I'm not actually spurring in. There's like no spur marks here at all. I'm just kind of bouncing around the trunk. But we're trimming this tree up to about this level, and then there's this main leader going up here. I'm going to completely remove this one right here. I'm going to completely remove, and there's a couple big limbs up here I'm going to completely remove. And then when I get to the top, I'm going to cable the tops together. There's one thing to keep, you know, many of you guys are already climbers, but when you're line, so my weight's going up this side, going over a limb, and it's coming back down. As it's coming back down through here, any of these limbs that it's going over, if I cut them and it's going over it, it's gonna introduce slack into my climb system, so I could take a little movement downwards. So it's just something to keep in mind. That way when it happens, you're not like shocked and freaks you out. I got a wild one here in my hands. She's a real wild one. She'll come down though. I do not think you should climb this way. This is just the way I'm climbing. You should not do this. Not on a single, not when you have your rope just going up and you're running your saw and you're not tied in twice. I don't recommend it. I'm gonna come back down and clear that, but I'm gonna have to rig it. Sorry, I was telling the camera. Still not spurring into this tree. I'm gonna move over to that side now. And I will be able to get my flip line on this since it's small enough. If I can double tie in like easily, I definitely will. Oh, this thing is so sappy. So that's what I shot my line over. It's right in the crotch of that limb, so it's totally safe. And me and Jake we hung on it, both of us together, so I knew it was gonna break with just my weight. I actually do prefer using my foot ascender going up and down versus slip lining. It's just easier because I can use my legs to stand up versus like using any kind of arm movement. Yeah, it's just kind of nice. Hey, as soon as you're done with that one, can you throw me a rig line? attach it to my climb line. I'm gonna take a rig line, toss it over this big branch, and then I'll go to this side of the tree and we'll rig everything up on that side. There's a fence over there, and those branches are actually kind of large, so we'll just rig them down. Stand by, just hang on to it. I'm gonna move out of the way. Let it down just a little bit. A little more. A little more. Perfect. Yep. It looks like this is a big rope mess right now, but when you know what you're doing, then you know what's going on. Still not spurring the tree. That's a big one. It's gonna have to come out. I can manipulate that. It's just me and Jake today, so I'm not too far off the ground. I'm gonna go down there and help him chip. When there's only two of you, I mean, you guys gotta make it happen. Here's the next limb. It's pretty beastly. It was way out there. So again, we're up over a limb up here for friction, and it comes down. And it's around this tree one time. Jake has it. Oh, sucker came off. But he had plenty on it. He's barely even breaking a sweat over there. So you can see here where the tree is kind of growing around that limb to hold it up, to hold it on the tree more. So eventually this is going to grow and go over the top of this wound right here. So you can see how I kept it where I cut it on the tree. Well, this one's gonna come right for me, so I'll be ready to pivot out of the way once it comes off the tree. Alright guys, this one qualifies for the Big Bertha award. She's big. I mean, that is a big fatty. it's big. I got the friction over this also large limb above, which is going to come off next, but got Jake going down here still, full wrap around the tree. Should be enough friction. Why are we not using like a Porter wrap or a Stein or something? Just because we got the trees, we're using the trees. It's because we got a Jake brake. We got a Jake brake. Let me go up above it and kind of kick it, because that's almost cut straight through. Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, can you lower it down some? That might be what's holding it up. Yeah, lower it down. You're slacked? Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, let me go above it, because I don't want something funky here to happen. We don't want funkiness. Just hang on to it. Oh, there she goes. Yeah. Okay, lower her down. Last limb to prune on this tree, and then this whole stem's coming off. I have to go all the way up it. I didn't want to break this limb off right here, so you're off, you can lower it. Alright, so now I'm choked off to this like third top on this tree. I'm gonna take this whole thing out. Choked off on it. I'm fully spurring into it because the whole thing's coming off. Here's the original Kodam. I'm gonna keep these two, and I'm gonna eventually, as I go up this and remove this whole piece, once I get higher, I'll set my climb line over here. Oh wow, there's another top right there. Yeah, so there's actually 4 tops in this tree. 4 tops. Anyways, this is staying, this is staying, this is staying. I'm gonna cable at least these 2 together, if not this one to this one, at least these 2 at minimum. This is actually a pretty strong union right here. The way it's curled under, it kind of rolls up on it, rolls on it instead of being like a sharp V. So it's not terrible, it's not great, but it's not the worst. So that's why I could probably get away with just cabling these 2. Nice, that went perfectly straight down. Here's the reason why I did that. There's a fir branch coming out right here. I didn't want that to come out and smack that fir branch and break it off. I needed it to come straight down into this gap down here, which it did perfectly. It's a slice cut. So there's that stem I just went all the way up and that I'm gonna ultimately remove here. But since I'm up here, I might as well go ahead and attach my synthetic cabling now. I'm about 3/4 of the way up the tree, and let me show you what I'm thinking here for this cabling system. I think I'll go around this limb, around this trunk right here, straight across. This is like a 4-foot gap maybe, and I'll go around this section right here where it Kodam's off again. So it'll run from here to here, and I'll leave like a slight little kind of arc in it so that it's not really tight. That way the tree can still sway freely, but if it gets too far out of line, then it'll stop. Here's my little cabling kit. Inside the bag in there is the synthetic cable. Got these guys that's needed to run the cable through itself. And then in this pocket over here, got some tape and some scissors. So I actually, when I was doing a tree trimming job months and months ago, maybe a year ago, I recovered it was a removal job, and it had this cabling system already in it. It's like a Cobra cabling system maybe. So it had this already in it, so it was pretty long, so I just kept it and put it with my rest of my cabling systems. So I think it actually is long enough to work for this job. But let me show you in this bag here the other material that I have that's a cabling. It's this stuff. I'll have to put the description on the page, on the video here, but it's a lot softer. So I got this type of cabling and this Cobra cabling. I can't remember what this one's called. I think I got it off West Spur. I'll have to put it in the video. Yeah, you were on the job, I think, when that happened. It already had these nice cushions on it and everything. This whole system was money just to find it in the tree that I was removing and to keep it. Because it's going to work perfectly on this tree. I'll tell you what, when you're cabling a tree, what you don't want is to you don't want to be short on cable, because it sucks to have to try to thread it through. Yeah, it's better to have more than less. Basically, you just go around the tree, and then you kind of go through the center a little bit, and then you loop itself. So I don't even know if I'll need these tools here. What you do is you attach it to the cable, and then it helps you kind of thread it through like a needle. But I don't know if I'll even need it on this type of this Cobra system. You just create some slack here, create an opening, take your other end, and then you push it through. And it's like the Chinese finger grab things is how it works. That's exactly what they say too. So you just kind of make it go through a little bit. And once you get a good distance through it, pull the end out. Okay, like that. And now you take the tail right here and you thread it back and forth through it. Like 3 times is pretty good. So I'll take this, create an opening again, push it through, and then I'll go the opposite way, create another opening. I hope you guys can see this. Push it through, and then I'll do it a 3rd time as well. And that right there will be completely secure. Doesn't require any hardware to install. I got enough tail, I'll do it a 4th time, just for extra measure. Might as well use it. and that's it. It's not super tight. Make sure this isn't super tight around the tree. We want, because the tree's still going to get bigger, and we don't want this like growing into the tree or like hardcore rubbing all the time. So it's definitely still loose here. But then when this goes across, it pulls really tight, and you can't separate that. And now ultimately here, I want there to be a little bit of slack in it too. So I gotta do the other side now. I've not used the Cobra system, I used that other system. This was already in it, and it says 2T/4T. I'm not sure what the purpose of this is, but I'm gonna reuse it because it was there, so whoever used the system before obviously knows more about it than I do. So I'm gonna reinsert this. It just kind of set in the middle for some reason, and I don't know what the purpose of it is, but I'll reinstall it for this tree. It was way too far over here, but I'll just install it probably right here. I think maybe it's a weight. I don't know what this is, I really don't, but because I don't know what it is, I'll reuse it, because like I said, the users before me must have known what it was, so I'll just put it back through here. And that system in that bag, you don't need this, and it's the same thing, so I don't know, but we'll reuse it. Literally, I can't see any reason, any purpose that it serves. It just sits inside the webbing, unless it's used to maybe lock off this other end. Here's the final product. Got it wrapped around this side. Plenty of slack in here for the tree to kind of grow and move on its own. I'll explain this in a second, but it goes straight across. Get a little bit of slack in here so the tree can still move naturally. It goes all the way across around this side. It's got the protective thing on the back, the protective sheath. Also, get a little gap here so the tree can still grow. And then I went through the center like I talked about, and then went back and forth at least 3 times on this end. Same thing on this end. Left that center piece in, that little bumper plate. It's weird, I don't know what it is. Anyways, so you see like this, there's extra stuff here. It's because I had an extra tail on this on both sides. So I just took that extra tail and ran it straight across the center, and then weaved it in on this side as well, and just did like a couple of little half hitches on this end. So there's no, I could cut it off, but there's no point. I could just leave it on there too. I did the same thing on the tail on this side. I stretched it all the way across and looped it once through here. There's the tail. So instead of cutting it, just went through it one more time. There's no way, this is not coming off. This synthetic stuff is good for like 7 to 10 years, and it's rated for over 10,000 pounds. So the last thing to do is just to chunk down this stem that I came up on, and this job will be done. And then I'll show you from the ground what it looks like after it's been trimmed. Now Jake's been giving me a hard time about that saying, if you know what you're doing, you know what's going on. He's probably repeated that to me about 6 times a day already. There's the cabling from a distance. Flat. Aw, fail. All right, here's the finished product. A lot different. I don't know if you can see the cable up there with the sun, but it's right up here. Big difference. Let me walk around this thing and show you. I can't even really see it from this side, but it's up there. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. See you on the next one.